Hi, everyone. My name is Tony Easterlin, and I'm part of our Amazon Connect team here at AWS. Thank you all for joining us today as we open our Customer Experience in Retail webinar series in collaboration with our partner, NeuroFlash. We'll hear more from NeuroFlash in upcoming episodes, but today, we're thrilled to be joined by Vince Koh, our Global Head at AWS of Digital Commerce. Vince, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. So Vince, can you tell our audience a little more about your background and involvement in the retail CPG industry?
Sure. So I focus on helping enterprise retail and consumer brand companies better understand the digital commerce landscape and providing the solutions that align with the new customer expectations and changing behaviors across different channels and touch points, whether the solution is coming from AWS or our partner network. I got 20 plus years of retail industry experience, spent the first 10 years in traditional retail and consumer brands. And then most recent 10 years, I've been fully immersed in digital, working for venture-backed e-commerce startups and leading commerce practice at a digital agency. And then today, obviously, I'm working at the AWS, partnering with the most innovative retailers and e-commerce companies globally.
Excellent. And so during that time, you must have worked with some of the biggest global retail and CPG brands out there. What are the most important shifts in customer behavior that you're seeing now? And how are those shaping what retail leaders need to prioritize today?
Yeah, working with retailers and consumer brands globally, I'm seeing some fundamental shifts in how consumer behave and what they sort of expect from brands today, right? So first, I think more and more speed has become non-negotiable, right? The customers simply expect things to happen now, right? So whether that's answering a question or processing a return or delivering a product, speed matters. So the pandemic, I think a couple of years ago, really changed, in a way, like it permanently changed the expectation by customers. So I don't think there's no going back to old days. And secondly, shopping journeys have become completely fluid. What I mean by that is customers bounce between Instagram, also other social media channels, websites, stores, and mobile apps without giving it a second thought these days. So they might research online, visit a store to try something on, and then end up purchasing on their phone on the way home, right? So these sort of a blended journey are now pretty much becoming the norm, not an exception. So for retail executives, success now really depends on building systems and teams that can respond in real time, right, and deliver consistent experiences, regardless of which channel they are, or authentically communicate values through actions. So not just marketing, right? So technology really plays a big role here, but it's really about rethinking the entire approach to serving customers in this new commerce landscape.
I know what you mean, especially when it involves reaching out to a retailer, and it seems like there's a lot of retail options out there today. Can you talk about, in a crowded retail market, how is customer experience a differentiator for businesses? What are those emerging service trends that are helping brands stand out from one another?
Yeah, I think the retail brands that are creating or delivering truly unique experiences today are really embracing a couple different sort of powerful service trends that go well beyond the traditional approaches. So one fascinating evolution is, as we all experience in these days, is a conversational commerce, right? Really turning the service moments into natural shopping opportunities, right? So for example, when a customer reaches out about using a specific product that they own, or the conversation might organically expand to introduce complementary items based on their specific needs, right? So it feels a lot more helpful rather than just being pushy, right? So, and another trend that I can think of is it's really reshaping the customer experiences. This thing called the context continuity. So it's about maintaining that consistent understanding of the customer situation across different interactions. So nobody wants to, explain. Last thing they want is they explain their issues multiple times, right? And have a brand forget about the important details about their the customer's preferences or history. So we're seeing that service becomes much more visual and interactive as well. Instead of just describing a problem, now consumers can really show it through whether it's a video or uploading certain pictures, rather than just the following text instructions. They can watch demonstrations or collaborate on solutions through shared screens or something. So perhaps most interesting thing though is this growing focus on this emotional intelligence in service design. So what I see is our leading retailers now train their teams and also design systems to recognize the customer's emotions, right? Are they frustrated? Are they excited or confused? And then respond properly, right? So this emotional awareness, I think, is really creating service moments that feel much more genuine or human and attentive.
I know what you mean. I mean, empathy is the core of customer experience. And I know when I'm calling a business and I have questions or I need help, empathy is that first thing I'm looking for on the other end. And something interesting you mentioned, you talked about conversation commerce, you talked about support in those shopping opportunities as well. And I know we often talk about customer service as a cost center, but retailers are starting to realize that it's also a revenue engine for them as well.
Right.
So how are you seeing leaders quantifying the business value of those better customer experiences that they're offering?
So the conversation around the customer experience has shifted quite a bit from, it used to be just nice to have, to much more critical business driver, like you mentioned, with, but measurable financial impact, right? So retail executives are, getting much more sophisticated about quantifying this value. So many of them are now directly linking the customer experience metrics to financial outcomes. So for instance, they're measuring how improvements in specific journey points impact the purchase frequency and spending level, right? Or calculating the lifetime value differential between customers who have positive service experience versus the negative service experiences. And I think what's also particularly interesting is how granular this analysis has become. So it's not just about overall satisfaction anymore. It's about identifying specific experience elements that disproportionately drive business results. So one retailer, discovered that reducing wait times below 2 minutes and had minimal impact. But improving the first contact resolution drove significant increases in repeat purchases. So this more sort of a nuanced understanding helps prioritize investment for maximum return. So if you know exactly which friction points or positive experiences have the biggest impact on buying behavior, then now you can focus resources accordingly. So the most important, the most advanced retailers out there are, starting to measure the revenue impact of service interactions. So they're tracking how often service conversations lead to additional purchase or product upgrades or, expected category adoption. So I think this helps shift the perception of service from being a cost center to more of a growth driver, like you mentioned. So I think this evolution represents a fundamental change in how we think about customer experience and service, moving from more of a soft metrics to hard business outcomes, and from intuition-based decision to much more data-driven investment strategy for many of the retailers out there.
That's fascinating. Like taking those quantifiable metrics with customer experience and linking them to outcomes that are maybe more qualified, like building loyalty and repeat buyers. That's really fascinating. And I know earlier you'd mentioned the concept of fluidity or fluid channels, or perhaps another name for omni-channel, which used to mean we have a phone, we've got chat, we've got email, but customers now also care about outcomes. How are you seeing brands using technology like Amazon Connect to create seamless, intelligent journeys throughout those fluid channels?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because the definition of omni-channel, I think, has evolved quite a bit. It's no longer just about offering multiple contact options. It's about creating truly seamless journeys where context sort of follows the customer regardless of how they engage, right? So Amazon Connect was built specifically for this new sort of a reality, in my view. So its architecture maintains custom context across different channels, whether someone starts on your website or continues on through their text message or and finish with a phone call, right? So this sort of a persistent understanding, I think, removes those frustrating moments where customers have to repeat themselves and restart their journey. And what makes this sort of possible is this unified data foundation that Connect provides, right? So rather than having separate systems for different channels, everything sort of flows through a single platform. So that creates a much more consistent experience while simplifying the technical backend for retailers. The introduction of also many of the Gen AI capabilities, I think that takes this even further by helping understand customer intent beyond the literal text or words they're speaking, right? So it can really recognize when someone is describing a problem, even if they don't use expected terminology, or detect underlying needs that are not explicitly stated. So this, I think, approach aligns perfectly with how customers actually behave today. If you think about it, they don't think about channels. They simply want to accomplish their goals with a very minimal effort. By focusing on outcomes rather than touch points, I think the Amazon Connect helps retailers deliver experiences that feel, intuitive and responsive, even as customers move, freely and between different channels, like whether it's a digital or human interactions.
Absolutely. And as a consumer, I relate to that as well. So your comment around a seamless journey, I don't think of channels. I think of a company that I'm doing business with and that I'm a customer for. And removing that frustration just makes me a happy customer. You talked about technology helping to solve some of those challenges. So with the Unified Data Foundation, you also mentioned Gen AI. And so there's a lot of buzz around Gen AI today, but retailers are also under pressure to move fast, show ROI, make sure that they're showing that return. What's your perspective on where AI can drive real measurable value for retailers and consumer packaged goods organizations?
Yeah, we've seen change from 2023 to 2024 coming into this year. I think we're now sort of beyond the AI hype to practical applications with the measurable business impact, right? So these areas are delivering real value. First, creating more natural sort of a self-service experiences that handle complex questions while improving satisfaction. And secondly, empowering service teams with much more real-time intelligence that improves the human judgment rather than completely replacing it. And then lastly, uncovering these insights from unstructured data like conversations and reviews that reveal customer needs, traditional data often misses, right? So these insights can really inform everything from product development to merchandising or marketing. So I think that the retailers seeing the strongest results focus on specific business challenge first, then design targeted AI applications. So this problem first approach, I think, delivers real value beyond the implementation buzz, and creating experiences that genuinely anticipate and address customer needs across the journey.
Yeah, that resonates. And especially when you talk about the concept of structured and unstructured data, the voice of the customer is comprised across all of that. And so being able to harness that to glean insights and understand customer behavior better is important. And you mentioned earlier brands creating that distinctive experience for customers. And I know around the topic of personalization, this used to mean greeting somebody by name in an email, for example. But today, it's about relevance in real time for customers. And so, how are retailers rethinking the concept of personalization in the context of contact center and service interactions?
Yeah, personalization has evolved, I think, far beyond using someone's just name in an email, right? So today's most effective approach is, what we call, either hyper personalization or dynamic personalization. There are both terms being used out there, but basically experiences that adopt in real time based on context and needs, right? So this means recognizing that a frustrated customer with a problem needs a different experience than someone just casually browsing, right? So it combines history with the real-time signals to be able to sort of predict the most helpful response for each specific situation. What makes, I think, that this approach much more powerful is extending personalization across the entire journey. So each intersection informs the next, right? So creating increasingly relevant experiences over time. The best implementation focus on, customers' goals or what they want rather than the transactions itself. So, when personalization delivers much more genuine value rather than just customized marketing, I think the customers actively appreciate that because they're smart. They have a lot of information. They have experienced with a lot of different companies. So they appreciate it rather than finding it intrusive.
Yeah, that is interesting. We talk about these concepts of personalizing the experience. We talk about using technologies like generative AI to help retailers create that experience. We talk about fluid channels. If you were to summarize, let's say, the top item that you're seeing top performing retailers doing that sets them apart, what is it with relation to CX innovation that you're seeing today?
Yeah, so we work with obviously many of different customers, but I think the most distinctive trait in top performing retailers is their ability to really create experiences designed around the customer needs rather than the internal structures. So they have broken down traditional silos between different departments or channels to create experiences that flow naturally from the customer's perspective, right? So these companies they're really good at balancing technology and human elements, using automation for routine tasks while elevating their people to handle much more complex problems and emotional moments. So I think this creates experiences that are both efficient and emotionally resonant. They have also, many of them cultivated remarkable adaptability, meaning that recognizing that customer expectations constantly evolve. They have built both technological flexibility and also organizational agility to be able to respond to those things quickly. So I think this combination, customer centricity, thoughtful technology integration, and continuous adaptation, I think those are the ones that are driving sustainable competitive advantage in today's retail landscape.
Excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you again for your time today, Vince, and thank you for those that are tuning in. Our four-part webinar series will continue with insights on incorporating automation and innovating customer experiences for retailers and CPG companies with collaboration from our partner NeuroFlash, as well as additional thought leaders in the space here at AWS. We look forward to connecting with you all again soon.